Welcome to Magic Beyond the Books. Today we are talking about Sirius Black. I'm Renee.
And I'm Callan. Just a heads up, warning, there are spoilers in this episode. So Sirius Black, a.k.a. Padfoot, a.k.a. Snuffles, a.k.a. Stubby Boardman.
Stubby Boardman, maybe.
According to Xenophilius, which I like that name. It's a pretty cool name. But yeah, so he has a lot of aliases, some very well known, some well known by one person.
Exactly. So Sirius was born on November 3rd, 1959. So I guess that's where our story begins with him, pre-Harry Potter.
Famous birthdays. Kendall Jenner.
Okay. Oh,
it's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Dolph Lundgren. And then Bert Kreischer. We know who that is.
Yeah.
He's a pretty well-known comedian now, but he went to FSU. That's why I said both of us would know who that is.
We went to Florida State. Yeah. He just had a comedy special come out this year. So he's very
Also
relevant.
had a movie come out. But yeah, so actually his name is Sirius Black the Third.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, I was looking back
Siriuses.
at the family line and I saw there were some other Siriuses.
Yeah. Do you know how that works?
What do you mean? Like
third.
Naming?
Yeah.
No, I don't have anyone I think in my family that is a third or a second.
Okay. So do you know the difference between the second and junior?
No.
If you're the second, you share the name of not necessarily your father, but somebody else in a previous generation.
Okay.
So that means you're the second. If you're a junior, obviously you share the name of your father. If you're the third, it just so happens that you share your name with two other people, two previous generations. So like it's like the second, but you have an extra one, obviously, because you're not a third, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be linear. It can just be like that's how you get like in England and all those monarchies in Europe. They have like King Edward III, and then they have like Charles VII or like whatever. So like it just goes forever. If you share the family lineage, then you could be like the 10th or something like that.
Okay, but if let's say your grandfather is named John, your father's named John, your name John, you would be a junior and you'd be a third.
I guess technically, but I think the third supersedes junior.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's how that works. The other thing that I thought of when I realized he was the third, do you know how to determine like what your cousins are? Like first, second, third, and then removed.
No, this always confuses me. I feel like what I do is I just kind of like everyone's my cousin.
Yeah. But there is a pattern. There is a method to the madness. So
okay, hit me with it.
So think about it this way: your first cousin, you share a grandparent.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you're just your regular cousin.
Yeah, that's your cousin. Your 0th cousin, you share a parent. So that's your siblings. Right.
Okay.
And so logically, if the third cousin or the second cousin, you would share a great grandparent, right? And then so on and so forth.
Okay. I think I'm following.
So say, and then the removed is how many times. This is a very if you are listening to this and you're confused, just Google like lineage cousin second whatever cousin removal or whatever, because it's easier to see like when you're looking at it. But removal is like how many generations you would have to move to like be on the same level as the whatever cousin you're talking about. So like your first cousin's child is your first cousin once removed, because they have to move up and you have to move down a generation to get on the same generation as them.
Okay, so the numbers are like a horizontal movement, and the removed is a like vertical movement, basically. If you're picturing like a family tree.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good explanation. Like as the tree like widens, you would share like the wider this gets, the further back you have to go to get to your shared ancestor. So yeah, that's a good way to describe it. So yeah, the number is wide, the number is width, the removal is, I guess, vertical. Okay. So that's Sirius Black the third.
Okay, yeah, no, but that's helpful because obviously Sirius Black has a big family tree. So, for example, like his cousin, one of his cousins is, or first cousin is Andromeda, and Andromeda has her daughter Tonks, Nymphadora Tonks. So that's why she's a first cousin once removed.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is Sirius Black the third, and like you said, he has a very large family tree. He's related to the Weasleys, right? In some form or fashion. Is it by marriage or is it by blood?
Sirius's great grandfather's. So go to Sirius. Go to his great grandfather. That person's niece married a Weasley.
Okay, so it is by.
That's his connection. So it's not by blood on the Weasley side. And then his uncle had a last name Pruitt, and Pruitt is Molly Weasley's maiden last name. So he's connected to...
in multiple ways, sort of.
Yeah, he's connected to both sides of that, if we're talking about the Weasleys that we know and love. Or basically, every time we, in the Harry Potter series, hear of a pure blood wizard, they're probably related to Sirius, technically. I feel like Bellatrix gets emphasized, Lestranges get emphasized a lot, but I mean, it's really all of them. Like you said, like the Weasleys, the Pruitts, anyone that's a pure blood is somehow connected to the Black family.
Yeah, so when he was little, Sirius, I guess we should give a little bit of a background. So like when he was little, he was very a rebellious little boy, didn't want it to kind of fall in line with all the Black family values. He liked Muggle items. He even was showed attraction for Muggle women. Ooh, don't get those Muggle cooties in the Black family line. Serious. But he was, when he went to school, he became popular. Obviously, he became friends with James, and he was good looking.
Yeah, and I feel like everything with his childhood and really on is all kind of like in rebellion, like being interested in Muggle things. And then, he becomes the first Gryffindor of his long line of Slytherin family. Mm-hmm. And, and even decorates his room with all Gryffindor stuff and just is all just trying to be very like the opposite of basically everyone in his family.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like he gives off the vibe of just like cool guy. I have a motorcycle. I have like a black leather jacket. Like I'm too cool for school. I have this weird. I'm sort of like grungy. Got this like long black hair.
Yeah, he definitely fits that, especially like in his post Azkaban years. I feel like you get a little bit less of the haughtiness, if that's right. But when he's younger, it's just very like. I would say think of someone who grew up with like all the money that they could ever want and just like naturally handsome, like one of those people that like their hair just like falls perfectly naturally, and doesn't have any acne, and just everyone just seems to like them. Like that's kind of like he is that person. Like he's the golden boy.
Yeah, he just does everything. Well, not everything right, except
for his family. For his family, but like more like the public, his peers.
Yeah. He's just a cool guy. You just want to be around him.
Yeah. And so James, one of those people who wants to be around him, but I think they have a real bond, and that's, they end up living, Sirius runs away from his family and he ends up living with James's family, and, later acts as his best man and obviously Harry's godfather. So they form a real bond in school, but also post school. So
he was obviously, if you heard of the Marauders, James is Prongs, Sirius Padfoot, Remus Mooney, and then Wormtail is Peter Pettigrew. I was always puzzled by the addition of Peter because he doesn't really fit in. Like he's like sort of like he's sort of like the Neville of that little group, where it's like, obviously Neville hasn't, they have very different character traits, as in like Neville is very courageous and wants to do good and kind of just willingly just runs into battle. But Peter just seemed like the kind of add-on guy that just hung around.
I mean, every group that Peter Pettigrew's in, he's a fringe person. Like when he joins the Death Eaters, like he's not really part of that group either. He's that person that just kind of like latches on.
Yeah. And every time that he's described in the book, they always talk about he has watery eyes. And
his eyes are just constantly watering.
I don't know. Is he just always on the verge of crying? Because I wouldn't want to be around that. I would be like, shape up, dude. Like I don't know how to handle you. You look like you're about to cry about something. Whether that be, the person didn't get your order right at the restaurant, or you got pooped on by a bird or something like that. Everything is coming up not Peter. And are you manifesting that? Is your confidence really kind of cutting you short?
Yeah, maybe. But this makes a lot of sense, because why Sirius he discounts him, and because everyone discounts him, right? Like doesn't think that he's that talented or opposing. So for a while, after school, they all the Marauders join the Order of the Phoenix, and this is when the whole stuff goes down with the prophecy and Harry and protecting James and Lily. But this is why Sirius basically thinks that they know someone is leaking information, and Sirius thinks that it's Remus Lupin, because he doesn't even consider that Peter Pettigrew would do something like that.
Yeah, and they are all part of the Order, right? They're like, mm-hmm. Peter is part of the Order. So I would assume that, and again, maybe like you said, he assumes that he doesn't have as much agency as a person would. I think he sort of assumes the same. He sort of repeats this error with Creature, where he's very unassuming of their ability to just have normal emotions and normal, but maybe not normal emotions for Peter, because he betrays his best friends essentially, or people that have been sort of loyal to him. I don't really know how they treat him, day to day in, previous parts of their lives, but they obviously keep him in the circle, and he's part of the Order, so he's trusted, and they put trust in him enough to entrust James and Lily's lives. But he repeats his error. Sirius does with Creature and with Peter.
Yeah, that's a good point. To kind of like wrap that up, basically, obviously we know what goes down with Peter, but the whole point of this was to have Peter be this person that no one would suspect would be the secret keeper, and then Sirius, if you think that Remus is the one that's leaking the information, you want to make him confused, right? So he's like, oh, Remus is going to know that I'm the secret keeper, because I'm like, literally, I'm the Godfather, I'm best man. Like he's immediately going to come for me. So I'm just going to run around and pretend like I'm running from them. And then, meanwhile, all the while, Peter's the one. So like, if I get tortured, if they like, whatever happens to me, I'll just be like leading them down the wrong path. And it's like the perfect, in theory, I get why it's the perfect plan, but the problem was Lupin wasn't the bad guy,
Yeah, I think that it all sort of circles around that, where at some point you have to put your trust into some people. Like if you're going to keep this secret, and if you are going to attempt to have that much, I guess, trying to secure their lives as much as you can, you're going to have to put your trust into somebody that, is not yourself, right? We know Sirius is not going to betray them, but he also knows that he would be putting them into danger just by the fact of him being the secret keeper. So if you want to attempt to bolster that security level a little bit more and kind of throw them off, you're going to have to trust somebody else. I just don't know. So I feel like there's other order members that they could have picked. I would have liked to see a scenario where the Longbottoms, right? They are also probably in the boat where is Voldemort going for the Longbottoms too?
I mean,
like is he going to check the box? Is he going to go Harry, Neville, and then that's it? Or was he? I remember there was something in Order of the Phoenix, or maybe even Half-Blood Prince, where Dumbledore says that he picked Harry. He was going for Harry.
Yeah, versus Neville. So I think what happens, here's the timeline. Snape tells Voldemort the prophecy. Voldemort tells Snape, I'm going after Harry. Snape goes to Dumbledore and says he's for sure going after Harry, like not Neville. Then Dumbledore creates protection. So I think by the point that this is happening, the Longbottoms are safe, if that's what you're getting at.
So, but I would like to see something where if Dumbledore knows that there's a prophecy, right? And that Neville and Harry are sort of fall under this criteria. I feel like it would have been smarter to have one of the Longbottom parents be the secret keeper for the Potters, and then one of the Potter parents be the secret keeper for the Longbottoms. Because at that point, you know that they're not going to betray each other because it's sort of like a mutually assured thing where we're both trying to protect both of our children. We're both in hiding too, right? Both under the Fidelius charm. So I feel like maybe I'm thinking more of like how to hack the system and not necessarily that maybe there's something wrong with that. I don't know. In the world of the Fidelius charm, I don't really know all the rules, but I feel like that's a pretty foolproof plan that they sort of just didn't.
I agree. Or even like Dumbledore, like who's going to get Dumbledore? I don't know. It just seems like it's as being the secret keeper. I mean, so like if you really start to dig into this, there's a little bit like, but if you're going off of the assumption that the Potters, let's say, go to Sirius and they're like, you're the only one we trust in this world, like it's got to be you, and then he kind of comes with this separate plan, then we can kind of like suspend belief for the sake of the story. But there's a lot of people. It's like there's so many people in the Order of the Phoenix. So like, why did it have to be his well-known, best, closest friends from school? Like one of those options. Yeah,
like you're not gonna if you're going into like the what is that program in the FBI, the witness protection program? You're not gonna like tell your best friend, oh, I'm actually going to move here. And then they're going to move, like, even if it's not your best friend, it's like your second best friend. You're not going to tell them, So I don't know.
But sorry, getting us back to Sirius. So just to kind of like wrap up his timeline. So we know I think he was 22 years old when this all goes down. He goes to prison. He gets out, 13 years later. So he's in prison from 1981 to 1993. He then, we know that all the stuff goes down in Prisoner of Azkaban. He rejoins the Order of the Phoenix once, Voldemort's coming back, and obviously fights against the Death Eaters and, gets killed in that fight at in the Department of Mysteries by Bellatrix Lestrange, his cousin. And that when he dies, that ends the Black family name. Yeah,
and the only one left who we know of with that name is Phineas Nigellus. Is it Phineas Nigellus Black?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he has the Black name, but obviously he's not going to procreate from a painting.
Yeah. So he's like Sirius's like great grandfather or something like that. Yeah.
Do we know how he feels about Sirius? Obviously, he probably doesn't like that he was a Gryffindor or like that he was not rebellious towards the Black name. But I feel like he has to have some sort look on him, a little bit more fondly because he's the last male heir.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he wants him to, continue the family line. Also, to be clear, we're specifically talking about the name. Obviously, like there's other members of this interconnected pureblood family that are living on, but it's just the end of that particular name because there's no other male heirs, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's the end of which is messed up. Why can't women take their maiden name? That was something I was going to cover with the when we were talking about the third. Like women can't take junior, and you can't be senior. So like that's kind of
Yeah.
messed up.
Well, yeah, and also like all the, Narcissa Black, Bellatrix Black, like they could have kept their name, but they changed it to Malfoy, to Lestrange. Yeah, like they're all changing their names with marriage and removing it. If maybe Narcissa could change her name back to Black just to keep the family line going.
Yeah, you could do that. That's cheating. I feel like
Or,
though,
or Malfoy, or
Yeah,
Draco Malfoy, yeah.
yeah. You could. I mean, I don't think Lucius would let that happen. I think Lucius might be the last. I don't know how. Again, the pureblood families are all crazy and very spread out. I haven't heard of another Malfoy. I do know that there's a Malfoy. Like, doesn't Draco talk about his uncle or something at one point in the Half Blood
Oh
Prince?
yeah. Yeah, there's definitely, there's got to be more of them that we just don't like hear about, but
Yeah. But yeah, that's unfortunate that Sirius, he was the last one, and I think he was a looker. So they really, Peter really did the world a disservice.
But they do have someone to carry on the goals, which is Harry Potter.
Yep. He does.
So of course, as if Harry's not rolling in it already, because of all of his dead family members, basically, Sirius leaves him everything, all his gold, all his belongings, his house, all of it goes to Harry once he dies, which is really sweet.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a very nice gesture, which I would assume that would be the standard way to go about things if you're the godparent and then you die, and you that would be your natural, and you have no children. I feel like that would be the natural thing.
He could have given, like, because he has his cousins Narcissa and Bellatrix and Andromeda, and then they have kids, or like Malfoy, Draco Malfoy and Nymphadora Tonks are kind of like somewhat over and down to Sirius, so he could have left Tonks some money, right? Or even Tonks's baby, because that's kind of like still the bloodline, but
Yeah, I could see Tonks. Definitely not Malfoy. I would do negative. I would find Malfoy. Like, put in my will. Can you do that? Actually, that'd be funny if you, like, as a parting gift, you're like, you owe the estate $500 or something like that from back 20 years ago when you didn't pay me back or something.
Yeah, well, it's like, also another question I have when we're talking about like Sirius's will is, how come Dumbledore's will gets inspected by the Ministry for 30 days before Harry, Ron, and Hermione can get the stuff from his will that he left them, but Sirius Black, the most notorious like mass murderer, only person to ever escape from Azkaban, his will never gets inspected?
Yeah, I think there was some, greasing of the palms, after he died. Like, at that point, Fudge was sort of embarrassed probably by all the hoopla he put up about, Voldemort not being back. Dumbledore was probably like, "Listen, man, you gotta just do me a solid. Don't throw a fuss about this. Just pass the will through. Just be normal. Like, don't do anything crazy. Maybe put out a story that says, we investigated it, blah, 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 blah. But, just pass it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the will leaving him and I guess Harry gets to use Grimmauld Place to some extent. I guess he gets some utility out of it when they're camping out for before they go to the Ministry, right?
Yeah.
Does he get to use the gold at all, like during that time? I don't think so, because he's he wouldn't be able to go to Gringotts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think when they're going to rob Gringotts, he's like, let me just stop on my vault real quick. Yeah, I don't know if we really see the gold. I mean, I think the biggest thing we see him like benefiting from is the fact that he's Creature's new master.
Oh yeah, that is the low key like best part of, or not the best part, obviously. Like when I say best, I'm not trying to say, oh, it's great to be the master of some some actual being that has thoughts and feelings. What I'm saying is that that benefits him the most in the grand scheme of things, of trying to find the Horcruxes, getting things done, trying to they really do a disservice, underestimate elves in this whole story, like in this entire story.
Yeah, and that they get it. Like this whole, all the stuff about the elves is really much more in the books. I feel like in the movies, it's like you like barely even know that elves exist. Basically, like Dobby's kind of there, but yeah, like this whole story, like people just get burned after burn, like time after time. People are getting burned by not thinking about elves and all the things that elves can do.
Yeah, and whenever Creature drinks the potion in the cave, is he able to survive it? Like just take it to the dome and just survive it that whole way? Because the reason he's about to die is not from the potion; it's he's being dragged underwater, and then Regulus says, "Come back, Creature," and then he pops back, right? But does he get an antidote after? I don't remember.
I guess Regulus maybe is giving him something, or maybe we're underestimating elves and they can just, like you said,
yeah, they can just house that potion. Yeah. But
yeah, their abilities are kind of unclear in the books, like how much they can do and not do.
They really can. I mean, you see it time and time again. Like Dobby rescues them from Malfoy Manor.
Yeah, where you're not supposed to be able to apparate, but house elves can.
Yeah.
Everything with Creature.
Oh, yeah, in the castle.
Even Winky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Winky, I think that she was estimated, not necessarily under or overestimated. I feel like Winky is just, she became a drunk, right? And then I guess she was pretty attached.
She was very good at keeping secrets. Maybe we should just leave it at that.
Yeah. But yeah, so back to Creature. Yeah, so Creature was the best thing that was part of that will.
Yeah. So with Sirius, do you want to get into some of his, I guess I call this section friends and foes?
Yeah, we can do that.
So do you want to start with friends or foes?
Let's go friends, because he doesn't have many friends. He has a lot of foes, though.
Yeah. I mean, we already talked about, James and the Marauders, obviously Harry. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that James and Harry are like his two favorite people in the world.
Yeah, and I think that he sees like James and Harry to Sirius are like almost the same person.
Also, like, I guess we're maybe discounting, like, he has a relationship with Lily because they're like pen pals when Lily and James are in hiding. So I think he sees Harry as really like another James, but he might even see some Lily in him too that like he appreciates.
Yeah. James just can't write? He doesn't have the ability to use a quill?
I don't know. I don't understand why they had it this way. Maybe it's just a plot device to have Harry discover a letter from his mom and like something sentimental about that in the 7th book. I think those are like the main friends of Sirius, I would say. He definitely has something with Dumbledore too, because they seem to like write each other. After the 3rd book, in the 4th and the 5th, when he's in hiding, it seems like him and Dumbledore are definitely communicating about all the stuff going on.
Yeah, I think that's more of like a trusted advisor type thing, where he's sort of the head of the Order of the Phoenix, or the overseer of the operations, the puppet master of everything, if you will. But yeah, I mean James and Harry, he definitely sees Harry as like, because I think there's a lot of unprocessed trauma, obviously, by losing your best friend, your godson, their your best friend's wife being betrayed by one of your other best friends. So like there's a lot of stuff probably going on in his head. And I think that Sirius sees Harry as sort of a brother, like a much younger brother, but also obviously he has sort of a fatherly aspect to it. But yeah, those are definitely his closest friends. I see you put down Buckbeak and Crookshanks as well. They're definitely buds.
Yeah, I think Sirius is an animal lover. I mean, obviously we know he turns into a dog, but like he seems to be buds with Buckbeak after their escape, and Crookshanks throughout the third book. And you could maybe even put under that category Pigwidgeon. He gets an owl for Ron at the end of the third book. I don't know how he finds Pigwidgeon, but he somehow finds him and gets him to Ron.
He's probably just out there frolicking with, he just goes on in one of his escapades. But at this point, he's kind of in hiding. So, like, how does he come across this little bird?
Yeah, I don't know. He has a connection with animals for sure. Maybe we just put it at that. But I think it's happening when he's in dog form more than when he's in human form. I mean, we talked about in another episode, my theories about him and Buckbeak just hanging out when he's a dog.
Yeah, no, that would be one of the best things about being an animagi. Like, imagine just like going into dog form and just going to like a park and just laying out and just like chilling. Just that'd be so fun. That's probably how he met. That's probably how he got Pigwidgeon. He was just like, "Hey, what's up? Like you're out here. You're not doing anything with your life. Just come back with me. I got a fun family that you could go sort of just be a part of, and you could do something with your time other than just like kind of just sitting on a tree.
It does seem to better Pigwidgeon's life. He loves being Ron's owl.
Oh yeah, I bet Pigwidgeon gains some good weight too when he's at the Weasley's house. So it was a win-win for Pigwidgeon.
Yeah. And then the last one I put under friends. I mean, you could say like all the Order of the Phoenix. I mean, you could go on about people that he's connected to, but him and Hagrid, we've talked about this before. They have some sort of special connection. They share a motorbike. They share Buckbeak. They're birds of a feather, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely think that there are two. I mean, just by the fact of being close with a hippogriff, like they're probably the only two people on the planet, other than like zookeepers or whatever. Like they're probably the only two people that have like lived with a hippogriff, or very rarely that would happen. So like they have that experience. Yeah, exactly. I do feel like it's sort of a raw deal for Buckbeak. Like obviously he, escaped death, so that's a good part of the deal. But living in a house is probably not great for a half horse bird. Your wings probably get real like you really want to stretch them out. I can't imagine what that would feel like the first time you come out of the house, out of that room, and you really get to stretch out your wings.
Yeah, and Creature like injures him at some point. Like he was having a rough time in the house, but in Sirius's house, but obviously. And then like Sirius dies, like his bestie, so Buckbeak had a tough go of it, but then he gets back to Hagrid and he gets to fly again, so it goes back to being happy.
Do you know his other name? Right?
Witherwings.
Oh, Witherwings. Okay, I like Buckbeak better. Yeah. So that sort of wraps up most of his friends. Obviously, he has everybody else in the order, right? But he definitely has a much more healthy set of, and by healthy, I mean a lot of foes.
Yeah, it's a pretty substantial list. Number one being his entire family.
Yeah, that definitely did a number on him. I would assume so psychologically, having your entire family just hate you for who you are, like not even being like, oh, I just don't like that you, like Muggle women. Like, why can't you just find a nice wizard woman to put up in your room or whatever? But like, they just hate him because he's him, it's bad.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, I guess he does say that one of his uncles, who also gets burned off the family tree, left him a bunch of money. So he's got like and technically like the Weasleys are part of his family if we're really saying like his whole family, but so there's people like within his family that don't technically hate him, but I think as far as like the Black line, it's like maybe that one uncle and that's it.
Yeah, his immediate family doesn't like him very much. That sucks.
Yeah, if Regulus, I feel like if Regulus would have lived, they would have connected because he kind of like betrays the Death Eaters and Voldemort. They could have like kindled some sort of alliance, but yeah, it just doesn't work out that way.
And that's another thing. So Regulus obviously like you said, betrays the Death Eaters, but he doesn't really do it for the right reasons. Like he does it because he's like, hey, Voldemort, like you took my slave and you just like left him in this cave. Now I'm going to get back at you. Like I feel like he didn't really say like, oh, it's not right that you're doing this, or it's not right that you're killing all these muggles or non pureblood people, right?
That's an interesting take. I think there's more to it than that. I think there must have been like he must have had other thoughts before that all went down, and this kind of like, I mean, he finds out that Voldemort has at least one Horcrux, so that would be like a shocking revelation in itself to think like, oh man, this guy's like, I thought this guy was evil. He's evil.
Yeah, and maybe, again, maybe I just don't know too much about Regulus, but maybe when he was initially getting into it, like you said, he had not the greatest feelings about it, and this sort of just like was the straw that broke the camel's back or whatever. But yeah, that's sort of how I interpreted it. Peter Pettigrew, another one of his foes. He used to be best friends, as we covered earlier. Cornelius Fudge in the Ministry. He's the only one that's escaped Azkaban, and that's really cool. I feel like that's probably one of his lasting legacies. Is he's the only one who has escaped Azkaban.
Yeah, I guess you could say the other Death Eaters in like the 5th book get out, but at that point like the guards aren't even guarding, and so I don't think that really like counts. Like they didn't really exactly just like escape like he did.
Yeah, no, that's fake championship. Like you kind of you weren't really facing the competition that Sirius was facing. You didn't have to swim however many miles as a dog through the water, probably during choppy waters. Definitely not the
ideal,
the most calm of seas, but yeah, no, he definitely, that's a rightful crown. I feel like only person to escape Azkaban.
Yeah, obviously the Ministry comes after him for that, and Cornelius says it in the 7th book when he's talking to the other Ministry. He says like, if you ask me, like Voldemort's not gonna be a threat without his support, and he's like prioritizing searching for Sirius Black even over Voldemort, which is crazy. Like Fudge has it out for, and Fudge wants to have the Dementors going after him even out of school. So, and he doesn't believe that he's innocent, won't even hear it. So he's definitely championing that. And then obviously like with the Ministry's support, though, Kingsley is the one that Kingsley Shacklebolt is the one that gets assigned to Sirius's case. So it's kind of like he's not really doing it.
He's like shuffling papers around, like, oh, this guy is like so good at hiding. Like I can't find him.
Yeah. Kingsley Shacklebolt, we need to do an episode on him because he's like the top Auror, and then he's given this job of searching for someone who he literally knows exactly where he is, and then he just has to like what is he doing at work? He's just chilling. He's like, oh, let me like pretend. Let me go look into firearms.
Yeah, he's like shooting. Like he has like one of those basketball hoops in his office, and he's just like shooting. And he has to like really quick, like try to like scramble to like move around papers and stuff. And which I would feel like it's pretty easy to make yourself look busy. As a wizard, you just kind of like whip your wand around and kind of just make things move around and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, and then like after Sirius dies, he gets assigned to protect the Muggle Prime Minister, and he just does like Muggle paperwork. Or, like Kingsley Shacklebolt is just chilling. He's like reached this point where he doesn't actually have to do any work, basically.
Yeah, that is probably one of the funnier parts of that initial. Was that during Half-Blood Prince? Right.
I see the Half-Blood Prince are
I think it was Half-Blood
Deathly
Prince
Hallows
because not everything had popped off yet. Really.
Okay.
So like, but that probably is one of the funnier parts where he's like, where the Muggle Minister, he's like, yeah, I mean, as long as he's like still doing like a kick-ass job at whatever he's doing, like he can do whatever he wants or something like that. And I was like, dang, that is so funny. If you're like a low key with like you're not, and obviously the Ministry would be able to tell if you're like just in disguise as a Muggle, like you could probably be like the best whatever you wanted to be. You
could be the best accountant.
You'd be like number one superstar accountant, without knowing any math.
Yeah, you're just like it's all spells. Like file this paperwork, do this stuff.
Yeah,
like you can do it like faster than any Muggle could imagine.
Yeah. He like that's the AI we need to worry about is like Muggle or wizards like pretending to be Muggles. Yeah,
yeah. And the last foe sort of or main foe that I put on here, I mean, we could talk about like Bellatrix and all the Death Eaters and everything. That's kind of like his family also, because they're all pure bloods.
And that's not as complex. I feel like that's just more like we just hate you,
Yeah. But and then he kind of has this tension with Molly Weasley, I would say, over Harry's upbringing.
Yeah, I think that, at this point, Molly sees herself as a mother figure to Harry, and it's giving like divorced parents arguing over how to raise the child, and it's very like a typical like what you would think of, the father's trying to be very like not hard line, but like try to give him all the information, even if he's not quite ready for it, and the mom is trying to kind of pull back and not expose him too much to everything. But I mean, I respect Molly for doing this. Like what was the information that Sirius was going to reveal to Harry that Molly didn't want him to reveal?
It's some of the stuff I wish we got like a view of the Order of the Phoenix, so I'm not exactly sure. I think Molly probably didn't want him to tell him that there was a quote unquote weapon hidden, that like being the prophecy. I think all of the Order of the Phoenix maybe knows that Voldemort is trying to get Harry to go to the Ministry to get the prophecy. So maybe that's kind of like where Sirius was going to go with it, to just like tell him that, what he kind of ends up finding out later.
So Molly doesn't want Harry to be sort of like have that weight given to him yet, which I respect, because being that motherly figure, and being the only motherly figure in his life, really, she kind of like assumes that role and wants to play the protector that she thinks that she should be.
Yeah, definitely. He has a lot of male role models kind of in mentors in his life, but Molly's really the only like female motherly sort of person for him. And like we're talking about, like I can see Molly's side of it, I can see Sirius's side of it, I can see why they kind of kind of go against each other, but
yeah, I mean his like Harry's upbringing is basically just like dudes rock, like every person that he is around that gives him, like Hagrid is a very influential person. He's like, Hagrid is like a get her done, like animal, like takes care of animals. He's always outside. He's doing things with his hands, stuff like that. He's got a motorcycle. Sirius, motorcycle, cool guy, like we talked about earlier. Leather jacket, smoke cigs, stuff like that. Like that's the kind of vibe he gives. Dumbledore. Who else is like a good Remus? It's just Lupin, all dudes. No girls allowed in this kid's upbringing. And Molly's trying to like get in there, trying to make sure there's a little bit of a woman's touch in there.
Yeah. Molly and Hermione are fighting the good fight out here. Yeah, but he's definitely a dude raised by dudes energy.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Sirius's family tree?
Yeah, we could do that.
We can talk about some of the big families he's related to. I mean, we talked about the Weasleys and the Pruitts, also the Longbottoms, Neville's family.
Yeah,
They're
just like
connected.
just so yeah, like there are so many names. Like every name is on here. You have Crab. I don't see a Goyle, Malfoy, Crouch.
The Crouches, the Potters are even connected somehow. Some of the people that Harry goes to school with are connected. So we hear about like Millicent Bulstrode, who's a Slytherin that Hermione tries to take the hair from, but gets the cat hair in book 2. Like Bulstrode's a family that he's connected to. Sirius is connected to. Marcus Flint is the Slytherin captain and chaser. The Flints are somehow connected to the Blacks. Obviously, Tonks's family.
Yeah.
And then like all the Death Eaters, basically Crabbe, Malfoy, Yaxley, Lestrange, Crouch, Rosier.
Is it ever revealed if the Potters are related to, I believe, is it the Peverils or who were the original 3 brothers? Is it the Peverils?
Yeah. So the Peverils are, I think the Peverils, I don't know who, they must be related to the Blacks, and they're related, like the Potters, Voldemort's family is like a descendant of them too.
Well, it really is like if you, because that's what they like how the math works out. If like if you wait like if you go over like I don't know, I'm just gonna throw a number out here, like 6 generations, like it gets to an insane like number of people that could be in like a family tree. If you wait like 6 generations. So yeah, at this point, if you are a pureblood family, and like we said earlier, like, and you are trying to maintain that family tree and that line, it's just going to be, you got a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it gets so big. I mean, his immediate family is, so his father is Orion, and Orion married Walburga, and they had Sirius and Regulus. That's at least his immediate family. And then it obviously expands so much. I mean, we talked about Phineas Nigellus, not his grandfather, his great grandfather. So like 2 more above his grandfather is Phineas Nigellus to Sirius.
Yeah.
And Phineas Nigellus was a former headmaster of Hogwarts way, back
in the
must
day.
have been like in the 20s or whatever.
Yes. And he was the most, so, and that's a fun fact, he was before Snape is fake, I'm going to say he's fake headmaster. Before Snape is fake headmaster of Hogwarts, Phineas was the most recent Slytherin to be headmaster.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and you can, if you look at I'll share a picture of this like this section of the family tree where you can kind of see some of the people that go out, and see where we're seeing the names like Yaxley and Burke and Bulstrode and all that. But if you just even at a quick glance, you can tell that there's a lot of like constellations, right? Sirius, Orion, Andromeda. These are like a lot of constellation names in this family tree.
Yeah, no, I like all of their names, especially, so like, even though I don't really like her specifically, but I like the name Narcissa. I like the name on Andromeda, Orion. That's a very powerful name, is Orion.
Yeah, I think that the reason that they have these names are kind of to illustrate like what this family kind of thinks of themselves, right? Like being so great, like as if you're like otherworldly
among the stars
level. Yeah, but I did look up what Sirius means if you want to know.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what that means.
So I got this info from thebump.com and then also history.com. Sirius is like the brightest star in the night sky.
Oh.
It's also known as the dog star.
Ah, there we go. That's where we tie in.
Yeah, and it's part of the constellation that's called Canis Major. If like Canis, that's dog, like
The
Latin
root
root.
word is canine or whatever.
Yeah, that's where K9 comes from, right? So Sirius means glowing or burning, which goes with the like brightest star in the night sky. And this is where, so this whole like the Sirius star is where like the dog, have you heard the phrase dog days of summer?
Yep.
So apparently that comes from the ancient Greeks found out that the hottest part of summer coincided with that 40-day period where the star Sirius rose and set with the sun. So that's like when they're referring to dog days of summer, it was like the hottest part of summer.
The solstice, right?
Yeah. And then the star Sirius gets the name, I guess, because Sirius was the dog of Hunter Orion. Which we know, like, yeah. And then his father's name is Orion, and then he's also a dog, obviously, as an animagus. So it all kind of like comes together, comes full circle with the meaning and the things about Sirius.
Yeah. No, it fits. It really does fit. And I think that the Orion and Sirius thing, that's pretty cool.
But that's pretty much a summary of the family tree. We'll share it on our Instagram. Do you want to get into some of our favorite and least favorite parts in ranking Sirius?
Yeah. So I'll give my rank. I would say he's pretty darn close to a 10. I would say he's more. Maybe he's a 9. He gets. I think I won't knock him at all, but I'll just say he's a 9. He's a very very good person, I think. He's a very tragic figure.
Tragic hero.
He's a very tragic backstory, a very tragic character arc. Like he really, if it wasn't for Peter betraying him and James and Lily, he would probably be living a great life. He probably would have a family of his own, probably would, have a very healthy relationship with Harry. And now that he's been betrayed, it sort of is just like he has to sort of have this pseudo relationship with Harry where he doesn't really get to see him very often. And the times he does see him, it's like sort of under pressure because Voldemort is back. And so it's just it's a lot of, bad juju around Sirius, just sort of a dark cloud around his whole life. But despite that, I think that's my favorite part about him. Despite that, he is a very good person. He's very willing to help those he cares about and go and put himself in harm's way to help those that he cares about. And I think that's a very, very noble characteristic of his.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree on the like evilness scale, right? Like 1 being super evil Voldemort, 10 being like Dobby or Harry. I would say, yeah, he's probably a 9 or a 10. I wrote down, I think he's probably the most Gryffindor person that we meet. Right? Like if you look up the textbook definition of a Gryffindor, I feel like Sirius Black would be a prime example of just, maybe a little bit rash at times, but very loyal, very brave, very willing to kind of like jump in front of someone to protect them and do things that are difficult, all in the name of, of good and of protecting people.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the biggest and another favorite part of mine is like he willingly will go, I can't remember which one this is from. I think it's from Goblet of Fire. But he willingly goes and like lives in like a little cave or whatever, right? What's the town? Hogsmeade. He willingly goes and lives in like a little cave and like lives off scraps during Goblet of Fire because Harry is not necessarily like in trouble at the moment. He's definitely in trouble because he's like this underage wizard being subjected to these like very dangerous tasks, but he knows that there's this like that this things are going weirdly, so he like immediately not drops everything because he doesn't really have anything, nothing else is going for him really, but he willingly goes and like starves himself essentially to go be in more of harm's way, to sort of provide more of a protection for him.
Yeah. I mean, obviously his bravery is a favorite part, and I like his rebelliousness. I feel like it makes him like a fun character. We've talked about all the things he did to, try to break the family mold. And I guess if I had to say a least favorite part, I think his whole act first, explain later kind of gets him into a lot of trouble. If he could just take a second to kind of explain things like, hey, Dumbledore, by the way, I'm going to switch the Fidelius charm. Or like when he escapes, like go to Dumbledore and say, hey, like, just so you know, Peter Pettigrew's alive. I'm sure Dumbledore would hear him out for those couple seconds. Like, I don't think Dumbledore would kill him on sight, right?
Yeah, definitely not. Like, even does Dumbledore ever cast a Avada Kedavra charm?
I don't think so. I don't think we ever see him cast one.
Yeah, so he's definitely not gonna kill on sight. And I mean, as soon as, I bet Dumbledore would love to hear about the Marauders map. Maybe he already knows about it, or if he doesn't, he's like, oh, that's cool. Like, how'd you do that? Like, I bet he would be like, whoa, I want one. So yeah, he would definitely hear him out.
Yeah, I think so. So that's one thing I think, like, it just kind of gets Sirius in a lot of the trouble he's in. I mean, obviously a lot of things are not, I don't think the things that happened to him are self-inflicted, but it's just like he could help his situation a little bit.
And I think that's just ingrained from being the being like the black sheep of a family, is like you have to learn how to like fix things and figure things out for yourself. So your first instinct is to be like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm not going to ask for help, because when I was a child, I couldn't ask for help. Like, I had to do it by myself. So like, it was always like on you. So whenever you have that like ingrained in your brain, it's hard to like, kind of pass that by the wayside, especially in stressful moments when you're wanting to protect those that you care about.
Yeah, definitely. As far as best moments, I mean, he has a lot of great moments, obviously, and I mean, I just really like him as a character. Personally, he's one of my favorite characters. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, I would definitely put him up there as one of my favorite characters as well.
I mean, one of the things I love about him is just like his love with Harry. I mean, we see it like over and over again, but basically as soon as he meets him, he offers for Harry to live with him instead of the Dursleys. He gets Harry 2 broomsticks in his lifetime, his first one, and then the last one we see the firebolt. He gives Harry a knife to open up any lock and a magic mirror to communicate with him. Like we talked about, he leaves all of his gold and everything to Harry. His whole thing in Prisoner of Azkaban, like, he breaks out of prison, hides out in a like outside in the Shrieking Shack, tries to go after Pettigrew, like we talked about, hides in the cave. Everything he does goes to the Department of Ministries, all to protect Harry. I mean, he just like goes way well out of his way to protect Harry again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely just shown to be the most selfless, a very selfless person.
Yeah, he even tries to get Harry out of doing occlumency with Snape. I mean, after Cedric dies, which was really traumatic for Harry, he like is in Dumbledore's office immediately, like sits there and listens to him, tries to make Dumbledore not make him talk about it, and then stays with him in the hospital wing as a dog. He's such a big supporter, especially when Harry's going through a tough time. And that's why, like, I wrote down a specific moment that I felt like he really did this was in the 4th book, so the Goblet of Fire. There's, Harry's name this is the time when Harry's name gets pulled out of the Goblet of Fire, and he, like, no one believes that he didn't enter the tournament. And so, like, all the other students are kind of sneering at him all the time. Ron doesn't believe him. Malfoy makes these support Cedric Diggory / Potter Stinks badges. Rita Skeeter writes in the Daily Prophet about like how he cries about his parents and all this like crazy stuff. And so like, and then he finds out that dragons are in the first task. So this is all the things that Harry's going through. And then he has this meeting with Sirius where they talk in the fire, and Sirius just lets him like talk and talk about all the things that's going on in his life, and doesn't interrupt him at all. And when Harry like first is like, how are you, Sirius? He's like, never mind how I'm doing, how are you? And like I felt like he was just there for Harry when he really needed someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he really, and I think that is, that's really the he knows that Harry doesn't have a father. He doesn't have somebody that he can really treat as this sponge to like soak up all of the things that are going on in his brain. Because like, one, you have like professors, you have Dumbledore, who's obviously probably the best advisor of you, but like, you're not going to go and just spill your guts to Dumbledore. He's got you just sort of feel like he's got other better things to do. So like, he's sort of just giving Harry this opportunity to like have that outlet out for once in his life.
Yeah. As far as quotes, I wrote down 2 quotes. Do you have any quotes?
I have a couple.
Okay, hit me with them. Or you want to go back and forth? You can do one, I can do one.
Yeah, I'll do one. So this is when when they're in the Shrieking Shack. He's yelling at Peter. He said, "Then you should have died rather than betray your friends, as we would have done for you." So I just think that he, even though like those are just words, right? I truly believe that, and he did die for his friends. So like, you have to believe that he was being very, very sincere about what he said.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's probably my all-time favorite quote from him in response to Pettigrew saying like, "You don't understand, he would have killed me." It's like, he's just like, straight up, you should have died then.
Yeah.
Another one, like that one, I would agree. Like, that's my favorite quote. And then I would say an honorable mention one also took place in the Shrieking Shack in another response to Pettigrew. So Pettigrew says, talking about Voldemort, he was taking over everywhere. What was there to be gained by refusing him? And Sirius's response was, what was there to be gained by fighting the most evil wizard who has ever existed? Only innocent lives, Peter. I feel like, again, like this whole conversation in the Shrieking Shack is so revealing to like the way that Sirius thinks and his personality. Like, he would die for his friends, and he would die fighting for people who were just innocent people.
Yeah, definitely. So this one, I don't think there's anything in the books that is specific to like, I don't think they adapted it well between the movies and the books. But one of the moments when they are fighting in the Order of the Phoenix, he's like, they're dueling, and I think this is one of the good things that they did during that fight to sort of show how much Sirius sees James in Harry, like when they're dueling. And I think Harry, I don't know the specific wizards that they're fighting, but he says to Harry, he says, "Good one, James," like as they're fighting. And I just think that, the like, he has, again, it's probably unprocessed, trauma, but like he just wants to be like that. Like, that is, he's like living right there. Like that is what he really wanted, was like him and his best buddy going into the Order of the Phoenix and like fighting people that want that for the good of like the wizarding world. Right. And now that he's being able to sort of live that out, like to like real, cause like probably after, during probably the Wizarding War, they didn't have like as many opportunities to sort of do that together, because at one, like, they figured out that Voldemort was hunting them, so they had to go into hiding. So this might be one of the only times that he gets to be in that moment, with one of his, James / Harry.
Yeah. I actually, I mean, I'm probably one of the bigger like movie haters because some of the stuff, but I actually like that change in the movies or that addition, and I like that they Gary Oldman has Sirius punch Lucius,
Yeah.
which I don't think is canon for the book either. But I think there's some good additions to that in that scene, and like you said, illustrating that friendship and that love and how I think he sees Harry as James in a lot of ways, in like a positive, like, oh, this is someone that I truly love.
Definitely.
I tried to look online and find what, the fans were saying. I stumbled into a lot of artwork and things that were shipping the romantic relationship between Remus Lupin and Sirius Black.
Are you saying that they're gay?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not saying this. I'm just saying this is what I've
found.
Theory.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a fan theory, or maybe I don't know if it's from fan fiction. I haven't really read the fan fiction for Harry Potter, so our listeners, you gotta tell me what I'm supposed to be reading here. But apparently, there's a big fanship thing between the two of them.
Okay, interesting. I definitely
I don't
wouldn't.
know. How do you feel about
have
that?
thought of that at all. Wouldn't have crossed my mind. So yeah, I don't. I don't really have a lot of thoughts about that. Definitely wouldn't. I mean, Remus is definitely. I don't know. They don't seem like the closest of I don't know,
he's closer with James.
Yeah, much
Sirius
more closer
with
James.
Yeah, and he obviously suspects him. Sirius and Remus suspect each other of being like the traitor. Yeah. So you would think if there was like a romance there that they wouldn't jump to that. So I'm not sure. Maybe this is all based in fan fiction.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 100% based in fan fiction. Yeah.
The other thing is, and this was a listener question that we got, is like basically the blanket question: why are people, and especially women, so obsessed with Sirius?
He's a very dashing man. Very I feel like that, it's
I think this, and I'm not referring to women like in the universe. I'm talking about like women who read Harry Potter like in the real world being so obsessed with him.
I think it's I don't know. I'm gonna generalize here, but like the project, the guy that is not, he's rough around the edges. They kind of see that they can reform him. I think that now, I don't know if this is for sure but people men who go to prison and they're handsome, for some reason they still get
tattoos.
They still get women chasing after them. Like what Jeffrey Dahmer, what is his name? Ted Bundy. Just for some reason, just I don't know, just the bad boy sort of moniker. I don't know, just odd.
Yeah.
Not to say that Sirius is on the same level as Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm saying that, to be clear, just the bad boy aura.
Yeah, I can see that. I think I don't know if I want to call those people the bad boy era. I think the bad boy is more like the guy that has tattoos and a motorcycle and wears a leather jacket and your parents don't exactly approve of, versus someone who's gonna murder you.
Well, there are bad boys, that's a bad boy. I don't know. That's not good. Bad boy.
I guess I didn't see anything bad from evil.
Yeah. Evil boy.
I did, this is me in Google. I'm gonna get whatever the FBI agent that's watching me probably has a lot of questions. I'm in Google going, why are women obsessed with Sirius? And I couldn't really find a one answer. The rebelliousness, the handsome and aloof kind of were reasons given, or him being a tragic hero, and kind of that ability to love despite all his struggles. Those were kind of the reasons that I was able to come up with from Google. I'm not sure. I mean, listeners, write in. Tell us, why do you love Sirius Black?
I think that to give the opposite sort of like the devil's what is it called, the
Advocate.
devil's advocate for Sirius is like he doesn't he doesn't treat he doesn't treat like Creature or like Severus very well, just even when he knows they're sort of on his side. I guess that's something you could take away from him. But there's like counterpoints to those as well. Like yeah, there's counterpoints to those too. Like Severus is the initial person that is, becomes responsible for, you know, James and Lily's death, right? He sort of spills the beans. And then Creature is probably not the most nice person or nice elf to him either. So it goes back and forth, just to play devil's advocate.
No, yeah. I mean, I think Creature, you bring up a good point. Creature probably is a big thing that people bring up as being a really bad thing about Sirius. I'm not justifying anything before people come at me with this, but I do think that his relationship with Creature is less about Creature than it is about all of his like trauma from his family. Like I think Creature is more of to Sirius like an embodiment of all the hatred from his family and like all of his anger, with probably more than even his family, like anger of being cooped up, anger of having been in prison, like probably all of that stuff. I think it like all gets channeled into Creature, and unfortunately, you know, Creature's just kind of like getting that. Like I don't think Sirius Black is like a elf hater or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, not to like rationalize like how he treats Creature. He doesn't treat Creature very well. But like you said, like it'd be very hard to live with like a living embodiment of all of the things that you don't like about your own family name, you know, and like willingly be able to like treat that thing with like kindness and grace and all these sort of things that you would. It'd be like put yourself in his shoes, like it'd be almost impossible.
Yeah, like it would need, there would be like a lot of time and work to develop their relationship that just wasn't able to happen. But yeah.
Yeah. And then when Creature's like telling everybody that you're a blood traitor and disgusting and, you know, what would the mistress think about, you know, blah, 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 you know, like it would just be, you know, that would make it even more impossible, you know?
Yeah. For the record, Creature's not nice to Sirius either. Like like it's not like he's all being nice and Sirius is just like out of the blue being mean to him, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, for sure. Do you want to get into our fan casting for Sirius?
Yes. I have one. Do you have more than one? And
I have two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how about you go first?
Okay. And for the record, background on Sirius, by the time we meet him, like Prisoner of Azkaban, he would be like 33, 34-ish age. And he's described as looking like a vampire. They say after Azkaban, he had white, like waxy skin, long hair to his elbows. And then, you know, even before Azkaban, or just his general appearance, he's supposed to be carelessly handsome, slightly arrogant face, very good looking, dark hair that kind of falls like perfectly in place. He's described as sitting like in laid back lounging positions, like girls are looking at him. So if that kind of gives you like a visual in your mind, I'll get into my fan casting. But the only thing I do want to say about fan casting and just like address is there is a very popular fan cast out there in the like Harry Potter fan world to have an actor named Ben Barnes as Sirius Black. Have you seen this before, Callan? I'll share a picture of him so you can see. But you know, Ben Barnes, he was in Narnia, Prince Caspian. He's shot in Shadow and Bone. He's in The Big Wedding. He is a little bit maybe on the older side for this character, but for years and years, I guess people have been fan casting him as Sirius Black, and I could see it, especially like in Narnia. He has kind of longer hair. I'm not against it or anything, but I didn't put him in my fan cast just because like I feel like that's kind of like already out there.
Okay, yeah. What role did he play in Narnia? Was he the
He's not in the original movie. He's in I think it's Narnia like 2 or something. He plays a character called Prince Caspian that's like a side, like he's not one of the siblings or anything like that. He's kind of a side character in the Narnia universe.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I know him from. But I do know him. I have seen his face before.
Yeah, he's been in other stuff. I didn't write down other things that he's been. I mean, he's been in I know he was in Stardust, if you've seen that movie. He's been in multiple things, but been acting for a while. But anyway, I'll get into my fan casting. So my first fan cast is someone who he's older now, but I would fan cast him like when he was a little bit younger. My first fan cast is Ian Somerhalder. He's probably most famous for like the Vampire Diaries, but he's in Lost and Bee Wars and some other things. So the reason I picked him was obviously he played a vampire for like 8 seasons of the Vampire Diaries, and Sirius is described as looking like a vampire, and he has like the dark hair, and in Vampire Diaries he plays like a bad boy, wears a leather jacket. Like I feel like he really gives Sirius vibes.
Yeah, no, he definitely looks very. He definitely has the black hair, dashing, sort of like, just like he does have very like, maybe light. It's not like super bushy, right? So like it can sort of play that flowy sort of hair that I picture him with, and maybe some green. So my fan cast, I'm gonna pick, definitely not of age. He definitely would not be a good pick for actually being serious, but I could definitely see this person being a good pick. Would be Johnny Depp.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, and I'm not really thinking of a specific like role that he played in, but like he just gives that vibe. Like he has the tattoos, he has he definitely has the hair. Like we've seen him have the hair. We've definitely seen him have like the greasy hair sort of thing going on. He sort of seems like aloof. I don't really know how well he could play like the sincere character, like a fatherly, brotherly, like very caring character, but that I just, of all the other characteristics, I think he would be a good pick.
Yeah, I can see it. My second fan cast is someone named Makenyu. He's a Japanese actor. He's in One Piece, the Netflix live action version of One Piece, and Knights of the Zodiac. I guess I'm thinking about him in One Piece specifically because he plays someone who kind of like is a lot of times like lounging and seems kind of gives that like effortlessly handsome. And he has just like kind of like perfect skin and like high cheekbones, and just kind of like seems one of those people that kind of like is like perfectly handsome in a kind of like idealistic way. So if you're going for that more for serious, like I feel like he could kind of get that. Can you see what I'm saying?
No, I definitely could see that.
That's my second.
Gotcha.
And the dog, for the record, the dog in the illustrated books that Sirius turns into, they have him as like a Scottish deerhound, kind of like a skinnier, straggly hair kind of dog. But I think that and then they have that in the later movies. They have him shown, like I think in the 5th movie he's shown that way. But then in the 3rd movie, they show him kind of as a different kind of dog. Like the ears are kind of perked up, right? And like it's a more fluffy kind of dog. I feel like that could be something like I kind of like that dog better, even if that doesn't exactly fit with like the Grim. But like, so if I was casting the dog, basically, I would cast either a Newfoundland, or I'd cast a like some sort of black wolf dog, like wolf mix, and just to get like a really big, kind of imposing kind of look of a dog. And I think if you go with an actor, like let's say, like if you do go to with Ian Somerhalder, he has like very bright blue eyes, and then I think you could get like a dog with bright blue eyes, and then they kind of like would go together.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely find a husky, right? That has blue eyes, like a like half, like not like full husky. Like I know that there are some like dogs or breeds, maybe not like actual breeds, but like they're sort of like still have some of a wolf like gene in them, and they sort of like are bigger, and I definitely think like a husky would fit that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And if you are looking for visuals for these, I'll share the like from the illustrated books, some of these pictures. So they have there's a couple of Sirius as a person. So there's like one where he's in the shrieking shack and he's looking extremely menacing, with his head down and his eyes are just kind of like staring and his hair's a mess.
Scary.
Very scary. This is a little scary for like a illustrated kids book.
Yeah, that would give me nightmares.
This is gonna give me nightmares tonight. And then as far as this, there's two other ones I think I could find that were of him as a person. So there's one with him and Harry in, I think it's in Grimmauld Place, and they've got all these knickknacks behind them. But this is a good one if you want to see his forearm tattoos. Got both forearms tatted up.
Yeah, no, that's giving. I think that's giving Johnny Depp pretty well.
Yeah. And then there's one of him as he's getting hit by a curse and kind of getting knocked behind the veil. You can't really see it like his face very well, but you kind of get a little bit more of a visual there too. He's always seems to be depicted with like longer hair and like a full, beard mustache thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, my interpretation of him, he doesn't seem like the clean shaven guy. But yeah, so that's all for Sirius Black. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform, and please share the magic with your friends.
Yep. And next week we will be discussing Harry and Cho's Valentine's Day date, so you don't want to miss that one. And until then, happy reading, happy listening, and may you ace all of your OWLs and NEWTs.